Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is week 3, Sunday game scripts, matchups, rankings with uncertainty. This is me looking and narrating aspects of this article that is up at scienceoffantasyfootball.com. So you can check out my snap report, Dennis's weekly consistency ranking values. It's all goodness there. And then you can look at this as well. I'll have Mondays up Monday morning. So anyway, let's just skedaddle here. So as I talked about, I prefer multiple uh, levels of information, lines of information. It is not the end of the process. It is just the beginning. You've got to consider all the things, and we have a lot of injuries this week and game time decisions, which we hate. And so you're going to have to stay snappy and awake, and or you will get burned. But this is framing the Sunday games for you, this article, and at least use this as a beginning to sort out some of your tougher lineup decisions, and we all struggle and flip back and forth and whatnot. We just got off a podcast, our Friday Science of Fantasy Science Friday edition. So that will be up. So go listen to that and our other podcasts for the week as well. Anyway, we're going to all the games. I'll have my Vegas and my scoring info. We will figure out who the favorite and the underdog is, and that will help us start thinking about game scripts. And you're saying you care about in fantasy. I care if it's a blowout because a lot of times the team that blows out, they might pull their players if it gets too out of hand. And in the underdog, the one that may get uh, being blown out might be all passing. So there may be some garbage TDs and whatnot in part of the scenario. I also gauge using Vegas information, their over under. Anything of 49 or above, I consider high scoring and high PPR points then 46 to 49 is above average scoring, and then below average is 42 to 45. And 42 and below is low average, a defensive kind of game, probably not a lot of scoring. And again, just knowing the game spread, seeing kind of the scoring gives you an idea of the potential touchdowns that are being thought about here. It's not the end, this is just a guide. Okay. Next, for each game, I have the defense against the position, still using last year. This is the last week to use last year and data. I will flip over this week. Hopefully, I got some time and calculate the new defense against the position and update all our then weekly rankings and matchups and things. So I'll give you the team, the opposition, and if it's tough, it will be in red. If it's easy, it'll be in green. Home versus away, there is a home field advantage sometimes. I mean, especially if you're going from the east to the west coast or back, hey, that's a trip. You're in a hotel, maybe eat some funny foods that don't sit well with you. Things can happen from visiting players. The overall, again, is it an easy, above average easy, below average, or very tough? So green to red. So what is the offense facing? Then specifically at the position, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and defense depth. And so you can figure out kind of some spot plays there and breaking ties. Rankings table, I give you the player, the team, the position, my ranking, fantasy sports professor ranking. That's FSPR. And then my secret sauce there, my uncertainty levels, high, average, or low uncertainty. And you can read that paragraph there. Long story short, if you have low uncertainty, you're thought to be much safer. And if you have high uncertainty, the range of outcomes is definitely very broad, and it could be some good news or it could be some very bad news. So you want to play high ranked, low uncertainty players, and that's kind of what you're shooting for. My rankings go from 100 best to 0. So all positions, all players are in that range. So obviously above 80, 70 is good. Some players break the mold and they're above 100. They're rare. Kelsey is one that routinely does that because he's kind of out there, and Andrews as well for the tight end. So there's some discussion. So the first thing I like to look at to frame my week, my Sunday lineups, is the power rankings. This week, the top players will be coming, or top teams: Rams, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Minnesota, the Raiders, and the Chargers. And the teams to worry about: Seattle, the Giants, Dallas, Houston, Carolina. And that's probably not a surprise. Surprise me. But and so I figure out the power rankings, positive or negative, and I graph those here just to remind you who's up, who's down for this week. So if you've got a tie decision for a flex, you might use this to break the ties. Okay. Uncertainty levels this week. The most uncertain teams, according to my estimation: Carolina, the Rams. Isn't that interesting? The Rams, Denver, the Raiders, Houston. The most certain teams, there's still uncertainty, but low: Jets, Cincinnati, Buffalo, New England, Chargers, New Orleans, Miami, Washington, Dallas, Cleveland. Okay, so you're saying, well, some of the power rankings don't matter. Well, hey, I do these completely independent. Okay, so you need to kind of juggle both of these together, right? So a little bit broader outcomes will be from the high uncertainty, lesser ranges of outcomes will be from the bottom teams there a little bit. Okay, so for this week, I'm going to talk about 6 games. Uh, I have all the games listed, but I'll take you through and let you hear my thinking. Uh, so Vikings Lions is the first high scoring game. It's 6 points, so almost a touchdown. 52.5, so close to 53. Lots of PPR goodness according to this. Bengals Jets, Bills Dolphins, Eagles Commanders, Chiefs Colts. Another big 7 point spread there. And Rams, Cardinals, the favorites and the underdogs there. So just kind of think about things. All the favorites here, you figure at least 4 to 5 touchdowns. So there's lots of goodness. The underdogs figuring maybe 2 to 3 touchdowns. That's kind of the ballparking here for these games. Okay, so let's look at the first three: Indianapolis Chiefs, Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit, Minnesota. So the Chiefs here, the opposition, OPP, means, and there's no color, so that means there's kind of about average. The Chiefs defense, a little bit above average, easy. The Indianapolis, a little below average, tough. The running backs have a tougher time, but the quarterbacks figure in both. Just Kansas City's, their wide receivers have a little tough game, but Kelsey figures all day long, so this could be a two-score week for him. Indianapolis, you probably don't want to play the tight ends, but probably Pittman and Ryan seem to be a good combination. You'll have to play Taylor, but he's not going to have it his way. It's Indianapolis does. It's a little tough, so I don't know how much I'd play Hines if you've got Hines. Solaire actually could work to his advantage if the Chiefs give up pretty high. They might force feed him, so it could work out in the end here. So then, if you look at each game, Indianapolis and Kansas City, this is the game, how I rank it, the team, the position, the player name, and the players are ranked by my rankings and high uncertainty, average, and low uncertainty. So here's Taylor. Even though the script is a little tough, I still think he's one of the best plays of the week, 97.8 out of 100. Hines is 39, so that's below average. None of the tight ends do anything for me in the 30s. Pittman at 70s, he's a wide receiver 2, 3 play this week. Doolin might surprise, but I'm not looking for anything here. Nothing else really jumps out at me. Kansas City, Mahomes is always high uncertainty. You just never quite know, but he's at 92 here. Solaire is at 57, so he's a 3 wide receiver. But, like I said, if the game gets out of hand, he could be actually earn better, but he's a low uncertainty play here. I wouldn't play any of the other ones. Kelsey, high uncertainty because you're not sure he could go get 3 scores or no scores, but I think he will get a lot of points compared to most tight ends. And I got him at 145. Goodness, the rest of them forget. Juju is a 3-4 this week, but he could surprise. But notice that the other ones could stumble into something. So it is not very clear who is the alpha. I mean, I think it's Juju, but it's been a funny a funny year so far with 2 games. It hasn't quite worked out like that, but that's the rankings. Nobody's really low on uncertainty except Justin Watson, but he's at 17. You're probably not playing him. Uh, who else? Who's coming up next here? Buffalo, Miami. Let's play at that. Yeah, Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo fights an easy, above average easy. Uh, Singletary has a tough matchup. Allen, even though he has above average tough, you can't sit him. Wide receiver and Diggs and Knox figure. I would play Knox this week. Yeah, we may blow up, but Miami figures a tough look. It's tough. I do not think they will get 6 touchdowns. Okay, it's just this looks pretty tough for them. You got to play Waddle and Tyreek, but they may not get like they got last week. I'm not sure I'd play any of the running backs here. Let's see, what did I rank? Buffalo, Allen's 104. Look at Singletary, below average. We're talking 4 or 5 this week. No. Knox 65. That's not bad. He's a tight end 1-2 type. Yeah. Streaming, it figures. Diggs 100. David Davis, if he plays, he's a 3, wide receiver 3 this week. McKenzie could stumble in as well. They're all low uncertainty. So even though it's a little tough, you got to play. I'd play Davis. I'd play Diggs. Play Knox. Unless you got somebody better. I think I'll lay off the running backs there. Yeah, if they blow out Miami, which I'm not seeing that, then Singletary might get something here. Yeah, Cook or Moss could stumble in the end zone, but hey, you can't predict that. Miami, 2 is below average this week, folks. No, he just came off sick. It's a tough D. The running backs, I'm not playing either one. Gasecki, maybe a play, maybe not. 59, I like at least above 60. So he's right there. If you don't have anybody else playing, but there's some uncertainty to him. Tyreek at 89 and Waddle, they're basically the same level. Wide receiver one type. It's just a little bit, Tyreek's a little bit range of outcomes versus Waddle seems to be more the secure floor and certainly always has a nice ceiling there, but seems to be a little, and I don't want to use the word safe because nobody's safe, but just figures. The next game is Detroit, Minnesota here. So Detroit, Minnesota, high shootout game. Both defenses are easy. So this is pretty much play everybody. I see that the wide receivers for Minnesota is a little tough, and I see Hawkinson's a little tough for Detroit. Other than maybe Thielen don't play or Hawkinson, if you can find somebody else. If not, you're probably stuck with him. But just be aware this is not the best game script for him. Running backs, Cooks, Swift all day long, maybe even Williams, maybe Madison or somebody scores into something as well. This could be a nice balanced game, rushing and passing. So this, of course, the sun god, you can't sit him. So I think you got to play both quarterbacks. Cousins hasn't done, he hasn't been like I thought because he hasn't got Thielen in the games a lot. So I'm really a little surprised here. Not sure what that means. And then here's Detroit. Uh, Golf at 37, but you figure with the Sun God, he makes his quarterback viable. At 97, that just, he could score multiple touchdowns. The outcome is pretty amazing. Hawkinson, he's a good figure, but high uncertainty, folks. Be very cautious this week. I think he may be having some questionable injury or something. I don't know. Swift, it's all about Swift, but he's average uncertainty, so it's not as clear cut as I would like it, right? But that's what we got. Pretty much are probably playing Swift, Hawkinson, and Amon Ra, but if you can find somebody for Hawkinson, you might try that. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, 69. He should deliver some touchdowns. Cook is high uncertainty. It's just he hasn't been consistent yet for me. But a 91. So anytime Cooks is on the field, he could be 2 scores or 0 scores. Irv Smith, yeah, maybe. It's above 60, barely above 60. So maybe. Not sure I couldn't find a better streamer. I would probably stream him over Smith. Justin Jefferson, you got to play him. Thielen, he could be a 4 this week, but he's just high uncertainty, folks. And Osborne could stumble into something, but I'm very disappointed in Thielen so far. I have too many shares of him this week. Okay, 18 minutes. I think you got the idea, so I'm not going to bore you with running my mouth too much, but I got 3 more games for you. Maybe I'll just go over the games. So the 3 other high shootout, Cincinnati, the Jets. Jets have an easy defense, easy. So you want to play all your Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is above average easy, and you want to play all your Jets. So this could be point bonanza this week, so go for it. Philadelphia, Washington, Philly against an easier Washington. Uh, Sanders is going to have to earn his treat there. It's a little tough, but passing Devonta Smith should come through again this week with Jalen Hurts is probably going to rush in for some touchdowns. Goddard's going to have to earn his biscuit. So Philadelphia, you figure Sanders and Goddard are going to have to earn their plays here. Washington, Wentz may not have his best game as he had last week, and looks like Gibson is definitely favored. The passing, though, is tough. Okay, but the tight end, Logan Thomas, could really pull them out. So I would stream Logan Thomas till he gets hurt. Keep using him. This is a good week for him. Arizona and the Rams, they're figured, but look at the Rams against Arizona's tough D. Only the wide receivers, of course, only Cooper Kupp. So it's just their tight ends in, the running backs in. Look how tough those are. Arizona figures with Zach Ertz figures to play this week. That's the only bright spot, Arizona. I would be cautious the passing this week. I mean, you have to play them, Dortch and Keith Brown, but you could get burned a little bit. But it's a high scoring game, but the Rams figure to be tough on D, and that may end up being a blowout against Arizona. This could be a come to Jesus Arizona game here, folks. If Arizona gets really blown up, ooh, that's going to be bad. There's going to be a lot of rumblings. Ertz, you need to do something because I did pick him up in a few leads for a stream. Okay, so you at least see the initial framing, and you can go and see how I rank the players and their uncertainty levels. Thanks for listening. Listen to our Friday podcast. Listen to our other podcast of the week. Check the snap report. Check Dennis's consistency rankings. It's all there to help you win. Thank you for listening. Yay. Professor gives you a gold star on the bulletin board by your name. Thank you. Okay. It works because the few and the proud. Okay. Hope I help you win a little bit. Okay. Take care, folks. Woo woo. Let's crush this week.